It is an explosive episode this time. After the laser from last video, I thought it was now time to get explosives working too. The laser required us to get hexel raycasting working, but for explosions we need something else, an overlap sphere. This is just a way of saying we need to find all the blocks that are within a certain distance from a point. Sounds easy. If you want to support PlanetSmith, remember you can for free by subscribing here on YouTube and by adding PlanetSmith to your Steam wishlist. Right, back to the video. Now something I want for these overlap spheres is of course for them to be highly performant. We need to be able to have lots of these calculations without slowing down the computer. So like with the raycasting, this has to work directly with the hexel data. My plan is to find the hexel at the center of the explosion, then to quickly find all neighbors just by adding coordinate offsets. The first step is to change the 3D XYZ point into our XYZW hexel position. If you're new and wondering why I'm using XYZW for block positions, it's all because of the world being spherical, and the extra dimension is needed to have continuous coordinates on a sphere. Now, I want to break down the calculation into two parts, vertical and horizontal. This way, we can think of the sphere cast as lots of 2D circle casts on each vertical layer, making the problem a lot simpler. Calculating all the Z layers is easy. I just need to take the radius of the overlap sphere, then using a for loop, step through each Z value, starting at minus radius all the way to plus radius. Now, on each Z layer, the horizontal radius for the circle will be different. It will be smaller at the top and bottom, and equal to the overlap sphere's radius at the center. To calculate the size of each layer's circle, we can use the equation of a circle. X squared plus y squared is equal to the radius squared. Let's call the horizontal axis x and vertical y. We know what vertical layer we are on, and we know the radius. So to find x, the radius of our horizontal layer, we can rearrange it to x equals the square root of the radius squared minus y squared. And now we're at that point again where having hexagons becomes annoying. With cubes, we could have just used the same trick again to get every x and y coordinate, but the hexagonal grids work differently, and we're using an axial coordinate system. We can treat the x-axis normally and make a loop from minus radius to plus radius, but for the y-axis we want to use this formula here. This will map out a perfect hexagonal pattern that is the radius in size. Because we now have a slightly too large hexagonal shape, the last step is to use the equation for a sphere. X squared plus y squared plus z squared is equal to the radius squared, to discard any hexels that are slightly too far away. Great, and we're done. I just added in the last few checks to make sure we don't reference voxels that are out of our build limits, and we can test it in the world. This is working great! I can rapidly make these spherical holes into the planet, and it appears to be running quickly. But this is only a radius of 5, so around 250 blocks being removed. I have now set the radius to 20, so that's around 16,000 blocks being removed, and it's still running super smooth. Okay, time to go for the extremes. The radius is now set to 100. That is about 2 million blocks being destroyed. We're getting a bit of lag spikes now, but I suppose that's okay when it's this crazy. Time to take it to the extremes. 200 blocks. This means that we're now removing 16 million blocks at once. This isn't good. Huge lag spikes now, but the game isn't crashing at least. I'm sure I could spend a lot more time and do some multi-threading to make the initial calculations a lot faster. But overall, I'm really happy with the performance. We are getting lag spikes only when we take it to the extremes, destroying a crazy amount of hex cells. This is way more destruction than the game will ever have in a normal setting. What is cool to see is all the circle patterns as I fly through this gigantic crater. However, this isn't really the effect we want. If it was an explosion that caused this, we need to add some noise, so it looks like a crater and not like someone perfectly scooped out the Earth. Let's fix that. I'm already storing the distance from the center for each block, so I just need to loop through all of them, define a cutoff and add some noise, then discard all the blocks that are above this cutoff. While I was doing that, I also added an explosion effect to bring it all together. Running up to a crater, you can see that it's no longer a perfect sphere, but it has this nice broken edge. Just like the laser, this is really fun destroying the world. It's quite satisfying. Again, I'm getting no lag spikes with these unoptimized explosions, which makes me really excited for what we can create in the future. This has given me a great idea, but before we carry on with the explosions, I want to talk about some of the other improvements I have also been working on that aren't big enough for their own video. I have been getting a lot of comments that the character movement looks rubbish and is too floaty, which it definitely was. Movement wasn't really a priority for me, and I had bigger fish to fry, but with the demo weekend coming soon, it was time to fix that. Just a reminder, if you want to play PlanetSmith in the upcoming demo weekend, make sure you join our Discord. We will announce it there first. Here is a side-by-side of the movement. I increased the gravity the player feels, and I tidied up the jump. It feels and looks a lot better now. Interesting that 1G just doesn't feel quite right in games. Also, there was a dirty secret with the character controller. The player couldn't run upstairs, you had to jump. But that's also been fixed, as I've added a step-up feature, which makes running upstairs work as expected. Another big bug I needed to fix was this crazy and annoying to find chunk bug. If I fly around the world really fast, occasionally you will see these bugged chunks. What's going on here? This was one of those hard to find bugs, but it turned out to be a weird race condition when saving the world. Anyway, after a lot of head scratching, it's finally fixed for good. Back to my idea. Wouldn't it be great to have an asteroid impact? I have quickly created an asteroid effect, and this looks awesome. You can either spawn an asteroid that will impact at your cursor's position, or spawn them randomly all around yourself in a meteor shower. Again, I'm having too much fun. This is definitely a mechanic I would like to include in the final game, but I need to think of a way to make it work in survival, as I doubt players will be happy if their base suddenly gets obliterated by a random meteor shower. as I destroy this poor planet with asteroids, I would like to thank our YouTube members for their continued support. Your support is helping me up the production value of these videos. Remember, if you want to stay up to date with all things PlanetSmith, come join our Discord. And don't forget to add PlanetSmith to your Steam wishlist. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.